Week 15 of the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few pitchers I look to buy and trade for this week. The first guy, Lucas Giolito of the Chicago White Sox. So Giolito, it's been an up and down season here for him this year. On the year, 6-6 record, 116 innings, 122 strikeouts, a 3.96 ERA, a 1.20 WHIP, and 11 quality starts. But after his last outing a few nights ago, he got bombed versus the New York Mets, and right now he's a good buy low candidate. And he possibly might be traded at the MLB trade deadline as well, obviously, to a contender. We know that the Los Angeles Dodgers have interest in him. So the last month for Giolito, not so good, 29 2/3, 1-2 record, 33 Ks, a 5.16 ERA, 1.08 WHIP, and 3 quality starts in the time. So like I said, Giolito, he's been up and down this season. And the last few seasons, 2 years ago, best year of his career. Last year was a down year, and this year it's been a mixed bag of results for Giolito, and just this White Sox team as a whole has been struggling. But right now, after getting bombed and only lasting 3.2 innings in his last outing versus the New York Mets, he's definitely a pitcher I will go out there and try to buy low, especially if he does get traded to a Dodger team. His value goes up just off that alone. July 4th versus the Blue Jays, 6 innings, no decision, 4 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks in that one, 4 Ks, a quality start. July 9th versus the Cardinals, 7 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, 5 Ks, a quality start. And July 18th at the Mets, like I said, he got bombed 3.2 innings, got the loss in that one, 6 hits, 8 runs, 5 walks, 5 Ks. So right now, he was on a little bit of a good stretch with Giolito. But anytime a decent pitcher gets bombed, I say go out there and buy him low, because obviously his value is going to take a hit. And maybe the fantasy owners are frustrated, obviously, who owns the pitcher that gets bombed. So in this case with Giolito, with all the factors I mentioned, we're possibly traded to a contender, and him coming off a bad outing, he's definitely a pitcher I would go out there and try to get this week. The pitcher is Christian Javier of the Houston Astros. I mentioned Javier as a buy low candidate the last couple weeks here, and he's still struggling a little bit, even though overall on the season the numbers are pretty solid, except the ERA is a little inflated. On the year, 96 and a third inning, 7-1 record, 89 Ks, a 4.39 ERA, a 1.21 WHIP, and 8 quality starts. But the last month of the season, he's been batting practice is Javier, 15.2 innings pitched, 0-0 record, 13 Ks, 12.06 ERA, a 2.11 WHIP in the time. So right now, this Astro team, we know they've been a second half team and go deep into the playoffs pretty much the last 5-6 years is this Astro team. And Christian Javier, I think, is going to bounce back. Hopefully the All-Star break helped him out a little bit, because in his last outing, he was mediocre with Javier. He didn't pitch amazing, but he didn't get bombed either. So the last 2 outings for him, July 3rd at Texas, 4.1 innings, 9 hits, 8 runs, 4 Ks in that one. And then July 16th at the Angels after the break, 5 innings, no decision, 4 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 7 Ks. So Javier's next outing is a good one, obviously, on paper. July 22nd at the Oakland A's. It's the worst team in the league, and Javier should go out there and turn things around. And I think an outing versus a bad team like the A's could get him going, and he could get back to what he was doing early in the season. So right now, while he's been slumping for the last month of the season, this is the time to buy him before this Oakland Athletics start for Javier, because if he gets back on track, fantasy owners are going to think he's going to turn it around, their owners, and keep on to him. So right now, while his stocks dropped big time over the last few weeks, I would look to make a deal for Javier this week. The next pitcher, Grayson Rodriguez of the Baltimore Orioles. So Rodriguez just called back up early in the week here by Baltimore, and we know he's been one of the top pitching prospects over the last 2-3 seasons in the minor leagues, but it just hasn't translated to the big leagues this season. On the year, 50.1 innings, 2-2 record, 60 Ks, a 7.33 ERA, 1.75 WHIP. So right now, Rodriguez, the K rate's going to be amazing, and if he could just stay in there, if Rodriguez just get under control and start pitching better baseball, this guy could go 10 strikeouts in a 5-6 inning outing right now. That's the type of whiff, swing and miss stuff he has here is Grayson Rodriguez. But so far, it's been a train wreck, and his return, like I mentioned, was a tough matchup July 17th versus the Dodgers. So the last 2 outings for him, May 26th versus the Rangers, 3.1 innings, got the loss, 6 hits, 8 runs, 3 walks, 6 Ks, and then returned after almost 2 months in the minor leagues. July 17th versus the Dodgers, 5 innings, no decision, 7 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks. So Rodriguez, he's doing more than a strikeout an inning, but consistency and not walking people is the problem with Rodriguez in the major leagues. In the minor leagues, he pretty much was unhittable, and the numbers were really eye-popping, especially his K per 9. So right now, on a great Baltimore Oriole team, they just took first place after the Rays got off to the roaring start in the first 2 months of the season. And right now, if Rodriguez could turn things around, he can help this Oriole team big time and make a deep push into the playoffs and fantasy owners. So right now, while he's an unknown, even though in the minor league we've seen him dominate, this is a time to go out there and buy Rodriguez, I think. And right now, he's out there still in 49% of fantasy leagues as well on the waiver wire. The next pitcher is Sonny Gray of the Minnesota Twins. So Sonny Gray, he got off to a great start the first 2 months of the season as well, with the lowest ERA in the league. But now, things are starting to pan out a little bit with Gray. Where we know throughout his career, he's a Jekyll and Hyde pitcher. He'll have a great month, and then the next month, he'll have a worse month. Sonny Gray's just an inconsistent pitcher for the most part in his career. But anyway, on the season, 105.1 innings, 4-4 record, 106 strikeouts, a 3.16 ERA, 1.29 whip, and 7 quality starts. And the last month of the season has really done him in. 9.1 innings, 0-3 record, 27 Ks, a 5.22 ERA, a 1.33 whip, and 2 quality starts in the time here for Sonny Gray. So Sonny Gray, early in the season, even in mid-May, early June, that ERA was under a 2, but it's definitely ballooned up now over a 3 here. And he's been getting hit pretty hard over the last few outings. July 2nd in Baltimore was a good outing, though. 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 3 walks, 7 Ks, a quality start. Then July 8th versus the O's once again, 6 innings, got the loss, 6 hits, 6 runs, 3 walks, 5 Ks. And July 17th at Seattle, 5.2 innings, got the loss, 5 hits, 5 runs, 4 walks, 5 Ks. So the problem with Sonny Gray is the walks, honestly, here. Over the last 3 games, he's walked 10 batters, which isn't a good number. His velocity, he wasn't always a hard-throwing pitcher, and he was never a big strikeout pitcher as well as Sonny Gray. So right now, I said early in the year he was a sell-high candidate, and hopefully you cashed it in, but now I think he's a buy-low pitcher. After the last few weeks, he hasn't looked good at all with Sonny Gray, but he still could be a solid 5th or 6th starter in your rotation for your fantasy team. So right now, while Gray has gone the other way after the beginning of the season as one of the best pitchers in the major leagues, he's definitely a pitcher I look to buy low because we know the upside, and he pitches in a good hitter's park in a weak division over there in the AL Central. And the 5th and final pitcher I look to buy and trade for this week here, Zack Wheeler of the Philadelphia Phillies. So Zack Wheeler, we know he was an ace last season. We know he finished 2nd in the Cy Young voting. And this season, it's been an up and down year for him. 111.1 innings, 7-4 record, 126 Ks, a 4.04 ERA, a 1.16 whip, and 11 quality starts. But the last month, 23.1 innings, 1-0 record, 28 Ks, 5.79 ERA, a 1.26 whip, and 2 quality starts. So this Philadelphia Philly team so far, here in the second half of the season after the All-Star break, they're off to a good start. And hopefully Zack Wheeler could be part of that and pitch good baseball. But right now, while he's been Jekyll and Hyde as well, is Zack Wheeler. Even though the last few outings he's been pretty decent, but he's still giving up 3-4 runs per game. This is still a buy low pitcher, in my opinion, and a guy I would want to add to my rotation. We know the upside. We know he could be a top-of-the-line starter for fantasy owners. And he's got a good matchup coming up July 22nd as well at the Guardian. They have a lot of power on their offense. July 1st versus Washington, 5 innings, got the win. 7 hits, 4 runs, 6 Ks. July 7th at the Marlins, 6 innings in that one. No decision, 7 hits, 3 runs, 7 Ks, a quality start. And July 16th versus the Padres, 7 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, 7 Ks, a quality start. So Wheeler, the last 2 outings, starting to turn things around a little bit here. But obviously, he's not the pitcher he was last season, where the ERA was a 2.82, where this season now it's over a 4 for Zack Wheeler. But right now, we're starting to get things going. But like I said, I think you got to give up a pretty solid batting deal for Wheeler, but you don't have to overpay a premium price for an ace-type pitcher this week. So that's a few pitchers I look to buy and trade for in Week 15 of the fantasy baseball season.